This video is brought to you by our newest Patreon member, Chocoburb. Chocoburb is a fellow artist, and like myself, she also makes art commentary videos, where she talks about interesting topics while also playing speed paints of her art in the background. Her channel was actually recommended to me by random, but after checking out her videos, it was an instant subscribe for me. So, go check out Chocoburb, give her a subscribe, and tell her that T.E. Laurence sent ya. Y'all are probably thinking, Laurence, you already covered all the demon girls. Who the hell is still left? To those people, I'm a little disappointed in you. Why? For forgetting such a quintessential member of the cast. Yes, she may not have appeared in the main game. Yes, she may not be part of the official harem. Still, she is the root of it all. The progenitor that made it all come to life. That girl is Generic the Template Demon. And once again, never forget Generic. Therefore, what's up ladies and gentlemen? This is T.E. Laurence, and today, we're gonna discuss why Generic is the perfect girl of not just the household, but also all of the Helltaker universe itself. Sure, her character is quite vague with little to no info on her, but methinks that is actually what gives her unique advantages over all the other demon girls. So, to the few Generic fans that are out there, rejoice! Before we begin, enjoy the speed paint of Generic as a track athlete in the 2024 Paris Olympics. The finished piece will be shown at the end. Anyways, Generic, the Template Demon. Now, why exactly is she called Generic? Surely her name has some form of meaning with her character. Just like how Pandemonica is tied to the Infernal's capital Pandemonium, or Cerberus highlighting her triple canine nature. Perhaps the name Generic implies her character to be bland, or generic. Well, yes and no. Let's look back at some of Van Ripper's earlier designs of the Demon Girls. Clearly he went through a lot of prototypes, from the vintage crimson skin of pop culture to just humans with horns and tails. But the results speak for themselves, as our one and only Generic best resembles our lovely harem of Demon Girls, as she was evidently the final design choice. And that is why she is called the Template Demon. She is the base template used to design all the other demon girls, thus making her the progenitor of everyone in Helltaker. Okay, cool. She's the prototype character used to design all the other demon girls. But that doesn't necessarily make her a character of her own. In fact, due to never really appearing in the main game, she doesn't seem to really have any character or lore at all. In other words, she's like vanilla, just bland with no flavors. Which, in canon, yes, that's technically true. However, the beauty of Helltaker is its community and fans, who expand the game's characters further by making their own derivative fanworks. Because let's be honest, Helltaker as a base game is very simple with little to no story in a narrative sense. Even the characters themselves have little dynamism. But it's thanks to fanworks like Second Circle that the cast of Helltaker has been much more fleshed out, even if they're non-canon. And fortunately, a sizable portion of the Helltaker fandom loves Generic enough to elevate her from a bland template to a proper character of her own right. Although there are many variations of Generic, a lot of them appear to have some consistent elements, many which I also share in my headcanon. Therefore, despite being named Generic, ironically, she has become anything but that. Based on fandom observations, especially the Generic fans on the subreddit, she appears to be a mix of Pandemonica and Modius, but without any of their supposed flaws. Like Pandemonica, Jeannie, as I like to call her, appears to be an office worker for Hell. But unlike the tired and sadistic demon's cold and violent demeanor, Jeannie appears to be quite the pleasant and sweet gal to hang around. Like Modius, she also appears to be inclined towards romantic intimacy, but not to the excess of outright lust, rather, just simple and wholesome affection. Nor does she have any eccentric traits or quirks that make her an acquired taste of sort like Zidrada. No, Jeannie is just a sweet and lovely girl who wants to support you. For that, just like Justice, it's hard to believe that she's a demon to begin with. As someone on the subreddit commented, Jeannie appears to be a demon who, despite her efforts, does a very bad job at being one. That raises a lot of questions about her exact origins. Was she born as a demon like Cerberus? Was she a former angel like Judgment, who never lost her virtuous self? Was she a former human who became a demon after her death? Or maybe, as the Template Demon, She is the first demon that birthed everyone and everything in hell, the progenitor of it all. Like the times before the Big Bang of our universe, it is all shrouded in mystery. Now, you might be asking, okay, great, she's just some regular demon who happens to be wholesome and kind-hearted. But what is there beyond that? The actual cast of demon girls have interesting personalities and quirks, both positives and flaws, that make them stand out from each other and on their own. But what does Genie offer? Frankly, she doesn't seem to be anything special. In fact, she seems quite boring. And there is nothing wrong with any of that. Just like vanilla ice cream, for many, someone who's just normal and simple is enough. Although unique quirks and personalities can be interesting and exciting, they can also become exhausting eventually. Sure, binging on video games and alcohol with Melina does sound fun, indeed. But none of us stay young forever, and at a certain point, many will want to settle down a bit and chill. And given how the world is complicated enough as it is, I imagine normalcy and simplicity would be a breath of fresh air for many. In fact, she's the only demon girl you have the best chance of having a normal and healthy relationship with. Because even though all the demon girls have their unique positives, they also have their own downsides. Carrying on with Melina, with all her passions around video games and alcohol, she also has some pretty big downsides, such as her sour attitude and potential homicidal tendencies. Even Best Girl Justice has her flaws, such as her irresponsible antics and whatnot. But with Genie, there's none of that. For all her boring qualities, or lack thereof, she likewise doesn't have any flaws of her own. She's not some sadistic torturer like Pandamonica. She's not some lustful nymphomaniac like Modius. She's not some chaotic troublemaker like Cerberus. She's not some sour gremlin like Melina. She's not some crass bitch like Zedrata. She's not some gullible child like Azazel. She's not some careless hedonist like Justice. She's not some self-centered brat like Lucifer. She's not some hard-ass like Judgment. She's not some overly attached trickster like Beelzebub. No, Genie is just Genie. Simple, wholesome, and trouble and drama-free generic. In addition, if I may just pitch in my own headcanon for Genie, I believe her generic persona is just a facade. As someone who enjoys the progenitor theory of generic, I sincerely like to think she is the ultimate demon. Not only does she have none of the weaknesses of all the demon girls, but she also has all of their strengths because she's hardworking as Pandamonica. She's romantic as Modius. She's jovial as Cerberus. She's entertaining like Melina. She's witty like Zedrata. She's intelligent like Azazel. She's charismatic like Justice. She's protective like Judgment. She's domestic like Lucifer. She's maternal like Beelzebub. She is the perfect girl. Yet, Genie manages to perfectly mask all of that under the persona of some inconspicuous vanilla demon girl, because she's no Mary Sue who feels the need to flaunt off her perfection and center everything around her. No, in spite of her superior standing, Genie is humble and content to just live as her normal and generic self. Wow, she really is the perfect dream girl. Almost too perfect. And you're right. On paper it all seems great, with all the positives and none of the negatives. In practice, however, perhaps it's not as great nor perfect as one may imagine. Because you see, what makes both fictional characters and real people so interesting are also their flaws, not just their strengths. Their contrasting dynamics serve as perfect spoils for each other, and it is thanks to their flaws that the positives are better highlighted and valued more. After all, happiness does not exist without sadness. Because without sadness, how can you know what makes you happy? Furthermore, life itself is imperfect and full of contrasts, filled and surrounded by both positives and negatives, as demonstrated down to the very core of the protons and electrons of our atoms. But something that's composed of only positives, or even just the negatives, seems too uncanny. Just like imaginary numbers, you can conceptualize it in your mind, yet it doesn't feel right for it to actually exist in real life. Okay, so what the hell are you actually advocating for, Laurence? You're trying to present her as this gilded and flawless being, yet also present the very nature as her flaw. What exactly are you trying to say? And you're right, your confusion is warranted. The real takeaway is that Generic's perfect nature is what makes her the perfect template demon. Generic's limitless possibilities allow her to be whatever you want her to be. Her positives, as well as her flaws if you wish, is whatever you decide for her. With the other demon gals of canon, their already established characters limits how much you can personally interpret or flesh out. With generic, however, there is no such limitations, thus allowing you to forge your character in any way you wish. If there are any limitations to speak of, it is our own imaginations, as we mere humans are far from limitless nor perfect. But Genie herself has no limits, for she is the perfect demon. And that is why, ladies and gentlemen, Generic is the perfect girl of the household. Her being a template demon may suggest otherwise, but her ability to be whatever character each fan wishes her to be gives her endless potential as well as unparalleled advantage over the other demon girls. Therefore, Generic is the ultimate demon, who is anything but generic. She is the progenitor that led to the creation of it all. She is the reason why we are able to enjoy our favorite hot demon girls in suits, both in canon and fanon. She is Generic the Template Demon. And of course, here's the finished drawing of Generic the Trek Demon. Never thought I'd draw Generic with a six-pack, but given the event at hand, it makes sense why she'd form some abs after all that running. As for why I chose track, I think her slim build makes sense for anything track and field related. Besides, we gotta show the runners some love. Finally, the next video on this series will be on the Helltaker, aka the man himself. He is the main superstar of the game itself after all, so stay tuned. Thank you to my patrons on Patreon for supporting this channel. My $5 patrons are Kapitan Sladek, Kidzap, and Chocobird. My $2 patrons are Komita the Prep Cook Demon. If you would like to appear at the end credits of my videos, as well as have early access and exclusive content on Patreon, feel free to hop on over to patreon.com/LTELawrence and give a pledge. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you would like to see my artwork as well, feel free to check out my other platforms like DeviantArt for my entire gallery. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Until next time, this is T. Lawrence signing out. Have a good one.